Here it is, guys, number 3 of the series, the best troop in the game. Let me just give you a warning right now and say, proceed with caution, math ahead. So these explanation videos take a very long time to make, as you can see from this sped up clip of the end process of making one graph. But the real reason it took me so long to make this video is because I really wasn't sure how to answer this question of what upgrade gives you the most bang for your buck. This video was difficult. I really just sat down in front of my computer for a long time and started looking at the data. Looking at it from every angle I could, trying to find the best way to illustrate this concept. I threw on the Interstellar soundtrack and just went to work. And it soon became apparent to me just how difficult this was going to be. First off, we have the problem of converting Dark Elixir to regular Elixir so we can get every troop onto the same graph. Further, we have to deal with the concept of progress inflation. Now, progress inflation is the concept of as you get further in the game and get more powerful, the later upgrades must cost more than the beginning ones to keep the game paced at mostly the same rate. Otherwise, your ability to progress would be wildly out of sync in the beginning of the game with the ending of the game. Now, this concept is common across any game with a progressing profile. It's nothing new, but it makes it difficult to compare upgrades in the beginning of the game with upgrades towards the end of the game, which is exactly what we're trying to do. So originally I thought I would just take the net increase in hit points and divide that by the amount of elixir needed to perform that upgrade and then just find the biggest one there. But because the elixir cost of troops increases almost exponentially, if we try to divide by that amount, the hit points and the damage per second would become very small very quickly. My math bros know that 1 over x squared approaches 0 pretty quickly. So what I did was take the net increase from each level of every troop in the game and put it all into one graph. Now let me explain a little bit of what that means using the dragon, who has one of the more simple graphs. So there is a 0 on here, which might be a little confusing, but think of it this way. When you first get a level 1 dragon, you didn't gain any hit points from going from a level 0 dragon to a level 1 dragon. Now when you upgrade it to a level 2 dragon, you are getting an extra 20 damage per second from the previous level. Now I know that line is flat for the rest of the way, but that does not mean that the dragon gains 0 extra hit points when being upgraded from level 2 to level 3. It means that the dragon again gains 20 hit points when going from level 2 to level 3. People might be upset by this illustration, but there is a reason I did it this way. When the graph is produced in this way, we can easily see what the most important upgrades are by looking at the highest point on the graph. The golem's increase in hit points graph looks like this. When upgrading the golem, you get an extra 500 hit points every time except for the last time. I'm not saying the last golem upgrade isn't worth it. 300 hit points is still a huge upgrade and totally worth it. However, you aren't getting as much out of your golem when you upgrade him from 4 to 5 as you did from upgrading him from 2 to 3. So I believe it is this method that best illustrates the biggest troop upgrades in the game. Now let's get rid of this single analysis and look at all the troops with their increased damage per second at every single upgrade. Bam! Well, right off the bat, we see that the witch is taking a commanding lead. Now I know that a lot of you are assuming that I made a mistake when accounting for the witch's upgrade. I assumed I'd made a mistake myself when I first saw this graph. But let me show you just how I came up with this number. So the witch has an adjusted amount of damage per second because it really isn't her that makes a difference, it's her skeletons. So the numbers I use are the same numbers I use in all my other videos. 12 skeletons for a level 1 and 16 skeletons for a level 2. This is because the level 1 witch can have 6 skeletons on the field at once and the level 2 witch can have 8 skeletons on the field at once. I chose 2 cycles, all the skeletons dying and being summoned to once more. This number could actually be higher if using another shield troop, so this estimate seems like the fairest way of judging the witch's actual combat effectiveness. Now there are a few reasons why the witch is so much higher. One is because you only upgrade her once, making for a major upgrade. And the second is because her upgrade is fairly expensive, one of the more expensive Dark Elixir troop upgrades in the game, close to the golem and the minions' final upgrades. However, for right now, let's just ignore the cost of these upgrades just to keep things simple. After the witch, we have the level 6 balloons taking the next spot for biggest upgrade. Now, as most people know, level 6 balloons kick some serious butt compared to level 5s, but it's cool to see them compared to the other upgrades in the game. Next is the wizards going from level 4 to level 5. Level 6 wizards have a significant drop off. I knew level 6 wizards didn't increase that much with the upgrade, but I never knew it was quite that big of a difference. Next is the level 4 and 5 P.E.K.K.A with the same amount. After that, it's a pretty big drop off to the dragon, who has the same increase for each level and who is tied with the level 6 goblin upgrade. After that, we have the max wallbreaker, followed closely by the level 5 hog rider, level 4 Valkyrie, and level 6 giants. The level 7 giant upgrade drops off a solid amount. Towards the bottom, we have the barbarians and archers doing a little zigzag pattern, showing that their upgrades are actually pretty consistent. but not as consistent as the minions, who are almost a perfect horizontal line. Down here we also have the Golem and Lava Hound, but that's because they are mostly shield troops who don't need their damage per second to be increased that much. Now, with this graph still fresh in our minds, let's look at the upgraded hit points for each troop level. Now we see right off the bat mostly what we would expect to see. The Golem and the Lava Hound topping off the charts, with the last Golem upgrade decreasing a solid amount, and the level 4 and level 5 P.E.K.K.A staying very strong. Showing just like in my other two videos that the max P.E.K.K.A are really quite strong, even though they are super expensive to train. But what's this vertical line off to the side? Well, what do you know? It's the witches, climbing to the top of the charts yet again. After that large drop off, we have level 6 giants with a big number of hit points considering that they only take up 5 housing spaces. Next, dragons again being nice and linear, with the balloons not too far behind. After that, the Valkyrie are next with the Hog Riders. After that, there is a pretty big drop off, then the level 5 Wizards, followed by the level 5 Barbarians, who are almost tied with the level 6 Goblins. In last place, we have the Archers, as you would expect. They don't really have that many hit points. But second to last, we have the level 6 Wizards, which is a little surprising. You actually gain more hit points upgrading your wall breakers from level 5 to level 6 than you do from upgrading your wizards from level 5 to level 6. Now, just as I did in my last video, let's take a very quick look at the net gain for upgrading divided by the housing space each troop takes up. For example, the P.E.K.K.A stats would be divided by 25 and the wall breaker stats would be divided by 2. Now, I'm only going to go through some of the top standouts on this graph because this video is starting to get very long and I don't want to bore you guys. So for damage per second, the clear winner is the Goblin. Now remember, this is his damage per second on resources, so he has a bit of a leg up. But followed closely behind the Goblin is the Witch, showing once again that she is a hell of an upgrade. After that, we have the level 5 Wizard, which is strange because the level 6 Wizards are actually very close to the bottom. You can pause this video and examine this graph using the legend on the side more closely if you want to, but I'm going to move on for the sake of time and entertainment. So with hit points per housing space, the level 6 Giant is the clear favorite, with the level 7 Giants tying with the level 6 Balloons and level 2 Witches. We have the level 4 and 5 P.E.K.K.A and the Golem and Lava Hound and the Goblin and the Barbarians all very closely together, with noticeable increases making them very worthwhile upgrades. Coming in last place on this chart again is the level 6 Wizards. So I think we have enough data to really start looking at the top contenders. So the level 4 and 5 P.E.K.K.A, the level 2 Witch, the level 6 Balloons, and the level 6 Goblins are all strong contenders. However, the level 5 P.E.K.K.A upgrade does cost 8 million elixir, so for that reason I'm going to take them out of the running for best troop. The Balloons are a good contender, and for 6 million elixir they aren't too expensive, but the Goblins at 4.5 million are even cheaper, so the Balloons fall short. However, there is one troop that stood out significantly every single category, and that is the Witch. She might not be that cheap to upgrade, costing 75,000 Dark Elixir, but let's consider what else is at that price range. A level 4 Golem costs 70,000 Dark Elixir, a level 5 costs 80,000. A level 3 Lava Hound costs 70,000, a level 6 Minion costs 100,000. Respectively, a level 17 Barbarian King and level 15 Archer Queen cost 75,000 Dark Elixir. But think about how much time that takes to upgrade your heroes to get to that level in the first place. To go from a Barbarian King level 1 to level 17 costs 562,000 Dark Elixir. And for the Archer Queen to go from level 1 to level 15 costs 557,000 Dark Elixir. The Witch is one and done, hit it and quit it, and for that reason I believe it is the best troop upgrade in the game and the most bang for your buck. Now I know I left out a lot of things. I couldn't cover training costs and the time it takes to upgrade these troops, mainly because ain't nobody got time for that, and because it wouldn't influence my decision that much. Now I also know that the level 2 Barbarians only cost 50,000 elixir, which is basically nothing when you're talking about some of these other upgrades, but when you are at that stage in the game, 50,000 elixir is actually a lot. So I know I haven't covered all the bases, but I really can't cover them all in a 12-minute video. So drop your comments below letting me know what you think, give this video a like if it helped you out, and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, on the topic of troops, last but not least, well, I guess kinda last, what is the worst troop upgrade in the game, costing 7.5 million elixir and not returning much for your investment, are the level 6 Wizards. Now I think the level 6 Wizards are worth the upgrade. I have them, and while you might not be getting much out of them in the long run, they're still very much worth upgrading. Lastly, you might think that this series is over, but I'm going to start something very similar to it in the next few weeks. What is the best defense in the game? Using the same type of graphing and math as I use in this video, let's find out what defenses are the most powerful. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, clash on.